Chavchet, the 28th chapter of the book of Divrei Hayamim Aleph. We've read about all the different things that David did to prepare for the temple, and now David gathers the people together. Va'akel David kol Yisarei Yisrael, Sarei Ashvatim v'Sarei Machlokot HaMishartim et HaMelech v'Sarei Alafim v'Sarei Ameot v'Sarei Chol HaRechush Mikneh LaMelech Levanav Im HaSarisim v'Giburim L'Chol Gibor Chayil El Yerushalayim. He assembles everybody, all of the different officers of all of the different numbers, and the captains of the hundreds and the thousands, and all the people who take care of his property, and all of his children, and all of the eunuchs, all of the men of significance. He gathers them all to Jerusalem. Vayakom David Hamelech al Raglav, and he stands up on his feet, which may have been something a little bit maybe difficulties of old age. Vayomer Shemauni Achai va'ami aniyim levavi livnot beit menucha la'aron brit Adonai ulahadom raglai Eloheinu v'achinoti livnot. And he said, I was ready to go and to build a resting place, a footstool for the ark of the living God. And I laid aside material for the building. I was ready. But God said to me, you will not build a house for my name, for you are a man of battles who have shed blood. And this is generally given as the reason why David is not allowed to build the Beit HaMikdash. This is the secondary reason, if you want to put it as such, in Divrei Yamim. I don't know if it's secondary, but in the primary text, generally, what's considered the primary text back in the book of Shmuel, the reason is more that it was not the right time. God had chosen David, had taken David from the field, made him king over Israel, made him father of a dynasty, but he's not going to build the temple. Here, we see that the temple is about peace. The temple cannot be something that you have spilled blood for. So it's a slightly different explanation, or a different explanation that's given. Doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong. Both can be correct, presented in different books for different reasons. And God had chosen me out of all of my father's house to be king of Israel. He chose Yehuda, and of the family of Yehuda, he chose my father's house. And of all of my father's sons, he preferred to make me. He wanted to make me king over Israel. We're in verse 5. Pasukei mikol banai ki rabim banim natan li Adonai. And of all of my sons, and were many, some of them unfortunately have been killed, have died, but out of all the sons, God has chosen Shlomo to sit on the throne of the kingdom and the Lord over Israel. And this is very important. This is why David gathers everybody together. He's already had problems, plots of succession issues. He's saying, God has chosen me, could have chosen anybody, chose me. Out of all the tribes, out of all the families of Yehuda, out of all the brothers, chose me, and now God has chosen my son. So there should not be any disagreement about Shlomo being the next king. Vayomer li Shlomo v'ncha, hu yivneh beiti v'chatzerotai, ki v'chartivo li leven v'ani ayeh lolav. And he said to me, Shlomo, your son will build my house and my courtyard, because I've chosen him as a son, and I will be as a father to him. And I will establish his kingdom forever. If he keeps firmly, if he follows the commandments and rules as he does now. Now, in front of all of Israel, and so now, right, with everybody looking on, what does he say? Listen to the commandments, right? He's turning to Shlomo. Apply yourself to the commandments of God so that you will be able to keep this land and that you will be able to bequeath it to your children forever. Shlomo v'nida. And my son Shlomo, you must know. Et Elohei avicha v'avdeu b'lev shalem u'v'nefesh chafetza ki chol levavot doresh Adonai v'chol yetzer machashavot mevin im tidrashenu yimatzei lach v'im tazvenu yaznichacha la'ad. So my son Shlomo, know that the God of your father, and serve him fully and fervently, because God searches out the minds and the hearts of everybody. And he understands everybody's thoughts, and he knows if people are searching out God, and he knows if you forsake him, he will abandon you. Re'ei ata, pasuk yud, ki Adonai bachar b'cha livnot bayit lemikdash chazak v'aseh. So see, Shlomo, that God has chosen you to build a house as his sanctuary, his holy house. So be strong, be confident, and get it done. Vayitein David l'Shlomo b'no et tavnita olam v'et batav uge nezakav aliotav v'chadarav aprimit uveit hakaporet. And so David gave his son Shlomo all of the plans, the tavnit, the plans for the porch and the houses and the storerooms and different chambers and the places of the ark cover, right? And this is what we said about this book very significantly. God says to David, you cannot build the temple. And that's the end of the story back in the book of Shmuel. This book presents a very different David. This is a David who's told you can't build the temple. So he does everything but build. He makes the treaties. He gets the materials. He draws up the plans. He's just not there with the hard hat, as we said many times, when the foundation is first set. V'tavnit kol asher haya beruach imo lechatzrot beit Adonai v'chol alishkot saviv lotzrot beit Elohim lotzrot hakdashim. Verse 12, and he gave him the plan for all that he had by the Spirit, right? This is stuff that came from sort of Ruach Hashem, from the Spirit of God, for all of the courts of the house of God and all of the chambers and the treasuries of the house of God and the treasuries to hold the different holy things that have been consecrated, l'machlokot, HaKohanim v'Alevim l'chol melechet avodat beit Adonai l'chol klei avodat beit Adonai, and the division of the priests and the Levites for all the work and the service and all the vessels of service of the house of God. L'zahav b'mishkal l'zahav l'chol klei avodah v'avodah l'chol klei hakesef b'mishkal l'chol klei avodah v'avodah. And he gave them gold, the weight of gold for this vessel of every sort, and silver, the weight of all the silver for that vessel, for all the things he would need silver vessels for. Umishkal l'menorat hazahav v'nerotem zahav mishkal menorah v'nerotel v'menorah hakesef mishkal menorah v'nerotel kavodat menorah. And the weight that would be needed of gold for the different menorah, for the different lampstands that were made of gold, and the weight gave them the silver for the lampstands that were going to be made of silver, each one according to the amount it needed. Tazav mishkan mishkal shulchanot marech shulchan v'shulchan v'chesed shulchanot hakesef. The same thing for the tables. Gave him the gold that was necessary for each table and the silver that was necessary for each silver table. Mazlakot v'mizrakot v'akashot zahav tahor. And pure gold for the forks and the basins and the jars and right, enough gold for every golden bowl, enough silver for every silver bowl. The weight of refined gold for the incense altar, and the gold for the figure of the chariot, the krubim, of the outspread wings, screening the ark of the right that stood on top of the ark of the covenant, which is different because we had it already. I thought that was already made by Betzalel. Hakol b'chtav miyad Adonai alai hiskil kol melechet hatavnit. God made me understand all of this, and thus I hand to you writing the drawings, the way it's supposed to look, the plan for all the works. Vayomer David l'shlomo beno, chazak v'ematz v'aseh al tira v'al techat, words that echo back in the opening chapter of the book of Yoshua and in the end of Dvarim, what is said to Yoshua. Yoshua is going for Moshe. Yoshua is going to do the conquest of the land of Israel. The building of the Beit HaMikdash in many ways is sort of the completion of the conquest of the land of Israel. It's not complete. We might have homes, we might have divided the land, but God doesn't have the home. So it makes sense to me that we're echoing words from the first chapter of the book of Yoshua. So David says to Shlomo, be strong, be resolute, and do it. Don't worry. Ki Adonai Elohim Elohai imach lo yarpecha v'lo ya'azveka ad l'chlo kol melechet avodat beit Adonai. God will be with you. He will not, He will not fail you. He will not forsake you until all the work is done. B'nei machlokot hakohanim v'halavim l'chol avodat beit Elohim v'imcha b'chol melacha l'chol netiv b'chachma l'chol avodah v'asarim v'chol ha'am l'chol devarecha. And here are the divisions of the priests and the Levites, like we've detailed in the last chapters, for all kinds of service in the house of God. And these are men who are willing to work. They are skilled, and they will do that which you command them to do. So we have a significant chapter here where David comes, and one thing that's great about it is he does it in public. Everybody knows. It shows David's warnings to Shlomo about listening to mitzvot. He gives him the plans. He encourages him. He tells him there's an entire support system that's here to help you, and he gives him some spiritual guidance. Listen to the mitzvot, listen to God. And so we have this as a very good example of a succession plan done in public, making Shlomo accountable, making the other people accountable that they have to help him. And so David really does this. He knows that this is towards the end of his life, and he knows that if he wants proper succession and if he wants Shlomo to succeed, he needs to do it publicly, to show Shlomo what the demands are upon him, and to show the people what the demands are upon them in helping Shlomo achieve this Go.